Action.
Okay, it's recording.
Okay, it's Jeremy, President NCSG, Jeremy Biswell, just starting the teleconference November 19th, 2014 Board of Directors meeting. I want to call it to order. If I had a gavel, I'd be hitting it, so I'm going to hit my desk. Let's do a roll call. Greg Boss, can you do a roll call for us?
I'm here.
Okay, I'm looking at the chat box, so I'll help Greg with the chat box. Edmund?
Here.
Here.
Fred?
Here.
Jay Walker is here as a guest. Kevon?
Here.
Okay, Phil?
Here.
Ron? Ron Rust?
Here, I can't see anything on the screen because I can't look at my phone, but I just thought I'd let you know that. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's okay. You can. There's many ways to join the meeting. So, and then Bob Farrar, did I call you off?
No, but I'm here.
Okay. Are we missing anyone? I think we got everybody.
Oh,
Marshall is.
Yeah, Tracy Marshall, and Francis and Ashley are on as well, and Darcy, and I think Megan.
Jeremy, I just got a text from Diane. She's on a job there.
Diane. I knew we were missing someone.
Yeah, she said she's going to try and join as soon as she's done, but I guess somebody's out of heat, so they had to go on an emergency call.
Okay, yeah. Remind her that she can put an earpiece in and work while she's on the phone. Just mute her phone.
Okay.
So and yeah, Edmund. Was that Edmund?
Yeah, that was me.
Yeah, Edmund, and if we're getting halfway through the meeting and she hasn't joined us, you might give her a holler and make sure she doesn't have anything to add.
Okay.
All right, or text her or whatever. So, okay, so we got the roll call done, and let's see here. I guess we don't have our future Region 2 seat. I don't see him on here. Am I right, Francis?
He acknowledged the invite. He just said that he had something going on and he could not attend today.
Okay. All right. So next item on the agenda, it looks like we're going to do the approval of the August 22nd, 2014 minutes. Any questions or anything on any of the minutes? Everybody looked them over?
I had a question. We didn't change Ron's name. It says Ron Russ still.
Okay.
And then on that same motion, there's no second. It's just left blank. Did we fix that?
Okay, let's go ahead and get that fixed. Let's see here. We're looking at. I'm seeing President's report on the screen. Francis. There you go.
Hey, Ron had sent me a note about his name.
And while Francis is looking for it, yeah, she said Ron had sent her a note. While Francis is looking for that, so we can get those changes in there. Anybody that doesn't have mute on, that doesn't want to talk, immediately go ahead and put mute on. If you're on the phone, I think it's *6. If you're on an iPad, the iPad's the easiest way to do it. You just got a little button on the top hand right screen. It's a little microphone button.
Which motion is missing?
Are you looking for it? Is that what you want to know?
Yeah, which motion is
it? Was under new business, and it was motion. It says motion made by Ron Russ and seconded by blank to accept the slate of officers. All in favor, etc.
Does anybody know?
Right. Does anybody remember taking the second on that?
I don't remember, but I'll put myself down if.
Okay. So here's what we can do. We can leave that blank, and Darcy, you're going to have to go through the YouTube video and find out who did that. Sound like a plan?
Yeah, I'll go back and look.
Okay.
If those corrections are made, I'll be glad to make a motion to accept the minutes as presented. This is Ron Russ.
Okay, so Tracy, I'm not familiar with if that's cool, or do we need to table that and come back to it?
No, you just need to make a motion to accept the minutes with the corrections that were suggested.
All right, so we're anybody? Did someone say something?
It's Tracy. I was just saying that's fine.
I think I did that, if you heard me. Yeah.
Sorry, it's breaking up just a hair, but so we're looking for a motion to approve the August 22nd minutes with the changes. Do I have a motion?
Ron made the motion. We need a second.
This is Ron Rust. I'll be happy to make that motion.
Bob, Ron.
This is Bob. I'll second it.
Okay.
Okay, so take a pick on who all you want to put down on that, because I heard about 3 or 4 people.
I got it. That's Ron and Bob. Just need a.
Okay. All right. Are we good on the second and everything?
Yes. You just need a all.
Okay. Right. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Since I'm not hearing anybody immediately, let's see. Your next item is the President's report as submitted by me. Did anybody have any questions? Mine was pretty short and simple. There really isn't a whole lot to go through right now. Did anybody have any questions on my report? Okay, not hearing any immediately. Can everybody hear me still?
Yes.
Yes, I hear you.
Okay. So moving on to the Treasurer's report submitted by Ron Rust. Ron, you want to give us kind of a lowdown on the Treasurer's report?
Sure, and everything looks good. I mean, my report kind of stated what it is. We're rolling along, and the convention looks like it's going to do well again this year. And membership seems to be the only thing as far as increasing that doesn't seem to be going as strong as most of us would like. And I'm looking forward to a good year. We may notice a little bit due to anniversary date change. Basically, my report stated all that, everything in my report. If anybody's got any particular questions, shoot away.
Okay. Was everybody able to look down the current financials and everything?
As much as I could. I didn't have time to do a whole lot.
Okay. Did you have any questions for Megan or anything on that? Because I'm going to make a motion to accept the Treasurer's report, which basically kind of gets into the current financials as well.
Megan, did you notice any changes or anything on the anniversary dates when we changed that? Hello.
Yeah, just give her a minute. Megan, you still on there?
All right. She just sent me a text. She got kicked off. She's logging back in.
Okay.
Hey, I got a quick question. Francis, did we get all of the accounts switched over? So all the accounts, everything's all switched over? Do we have any with the old, former account holders, or do we get everything all switched over now?
All of the accounts have been moved from Fifth Third to Beno Harris now, so there's nothing with the old bank any longer.
Okay, good.
Was there any difference in membership?
I think in Ron's report he said we had a slight increase in membership.
That's correct. And they said that we're not going to really notice anything with the money or anything else until the whole year rolls around. That from here on out, membership dues will be coming in on a partial basis as opposed to a full basis. So everybody ends up on September 1st being due again. So that's where the change is going to come. And as far as renewals and all go, it seems to be pretty steady with the way it's been in the past. And overall, we did have a slight increase in membership, which is good. And is there anything else I can tell you about that more?
Well, that's really what I wanted to know, if we had any decrease or increase.
Okay.
Okay, so does Megan need to answer any questions for anybody then?
Not for me.
Okay, so let's go ahead and make a motion to accept the treasurer's report as submitted. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion. This is Phil.
That'd be Phil.
I'll second it.
It's great. I'll second it.
That's Greg. Greg Boss has a second on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, I'm going to do the any opposed one more time. Any opposed? Okay, motion passed. Moving forward, executive director's report. Francis, that was a really good report. You want to go kind of give us a rundown on that report for anybody that might not have understood something or didn't take the time to read it?
That the audit has gone well. They've completed their field work. They were only here for about a day and a half.
Speak up.
About a third of the time.
You're a little silent. Sorry.
Anyway, they were only here for about a day and a half, and that was about a third of the time from last year. And I think that's in large part due to Megan having everything ready to go when they got here. Edmund, you'd asked about the accounts before. Everything is with BMO, and we moved the savings account for both organizations into a higher yield promo account that they have. So we're getting 5 times the interest, at least for 1 year. So we took it. And as you can see, this is in Jesse's report as well. NCSG has a new trade show booth, and she had that set up here in the office, and it looks absolutely fabulous. And she's also talked about sweeping. I brought that up as well, but we have a new design layout person for sweeping, and we'll be rolling out a new layout with the January edition as well. So we're pretty excited about that. Are there any questions? I can answer them.
I actually had one about sweeping. The latest issue had a bunch of big empty spaces, and I'm just curious what was that? Is it just a layout change, so things are getting changed, so it's just the switchover, or?
As far as white space being left?
Yes, correct.
The October issue, Laura left us mid-issue, so we kind of had to throw it together. White space kind of gets left because, you know, we don't get everything at once like you would in a normal magazine and then lay it out. We kind of get things in bits and pieces as people turn them in, and we kind of have to make them all fit together in order to send it to press. So we kind of do our best to take as much white space out as possible, but sometimes, you know, there's just white space left, or an article doesn't get turned in as long as we thought it would be. So hopefully with the new redesign, for one, the font won't be so teeny tiny. You're looking at 9-point font right now in sweeping, which is very unusual for a magazine to be that small. So, you know, everything will look so tiny on a page, and that should help with the space issue and give us more flexibility.
Good.
Randy? Make sure there's no problems. Okay, so if we don't have any more questions for Francis, we're going to move forward to the Director of Marketing report. Darcy, you want to give us kind of a lowdown on yours?
Yeah, Francis already touched on changes with sweeping. Mostly I've been working on convention and NFPA 211. Convention, of course, we have social media. We put up the new website. We're sending out postcards and direct mail. We're just finishing up a special mailing for exhibitors that maybe haven't exhibited with us in the past to fill out the rest of the booths in the hall. We're actually pretty close to selling out the hall for the trade show. So that's a big thing we're working on. NFP 211, of course, we did the mailing to the full membership. One update since I wrote the report, we have 504 people signed on the petition since I last checked last night before I left. So that's a really good response, and people are continuing to sign it. So yeah, we've been pushing that on social media. The discussion list has picked up the NFPA 211 quite a bit. I've gotten a lot of email responses back we've been sending out email blasts about that. And a few people have responded saying they haven't gotten a chance to submit their comments, so I told them to go ahead and add their comments to the petition, so people can still do that. It's not as good as adding their comments to the actual NFPA 211 site, but at least they'll be there and we'll have record of them. Other than that, Scholarship Fund, we created a new letterhead for the Scholarship Fund to use to separate it out from the regular NCSG letterhead.
All right. Any questions or anything on any of that? Do we have a lot of people signing up for a convention yet?
They're starting to trickle in. They're starting to get the email blast for December 10th will be the last day for the cheapest registration. And that's what the postcard had on it too. So they're starting to pick up, and we're getting more questions from people about signing up for convention. Usually like that last week or so before the first cutoff date for price is when they all start pouring in.
And how are most of them registering for a convention? Are they sending in a paper form, or are they getting online and doing the registration?
From what Claire's told me, most of them are doing it online this year. We've got a few paper forms, a few phone calls, a couple of people have torn out the magazine form and sent it in, but mostly online this year.
And are they having any problems with the online registration?
I don't believe so. We tried to make it easier. There's a huge button on the new website for register here. So I think that simplified it a little from having to weave through the NCSG website for it.
Cool. All right. Okay. Any questions for Darcy? All right. Moving forward. Legal report as submitted by Art, but we have Tracy here. Let's see here. I had a question on that. Can anyone answer, just as a reminder, I've got item 3, work on sweeping magazine invoice issue.
Right, and that was Sweeping Magazine had essentially sent an invoice to NCSG automatically renewing the agreement that they had for publishing for the next year. However, Francis had subsequent discussions with them, and I believe, Francis, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the NCSG has terminated the services, right, and is looking for a new publisher.
Well, what happened was the person that had been our design layout person, Laura Hauser, for about 11 years, as Tracy mentioned, she sends in an invoice to cover like the whole year. And she's done it that way for a long time. She got upset that we were putting out the layout for bid, and we did ask her to bid. We met with her, and she said, well, I have a contract, meaning the invoice was a contract. And I said, I don't believe this to be a contract, and I consulted with Tracy. And anyway, short story is Laura quit. So, and actually that was fine by us, to tell you the truth, and we do have a new design layout person that is approximately $400 a month, cheaper and far easier to work with.
Good stuff happening.
Yeah.
And unless anyone else has some specific questions, I just wanted to elaborate on a few issues in the report. One is we do continue to work with Debbie Cornelius on trademark infringements and sending cease and desist letters. We did recently send a memo to Francis about one particular company, Central Masonry in New York. They have been displaying the NCSG logo on their website for several years. So both NCSG and Keller and Heckman have sent follow-up letters. We did, after sending that memo, we did notice a few weeks ago that it appears that the company has removed it from the website, although they still, I need to confirm with Debbie when she's back, but to my knowledge, they have not yet paid the licensing fee. I believe it was about $918 for the 2 years that they were violating. So we will still follow up with them on that, but it looks like for now they've at least removed the logo from the website.
And I attended the CSIA meeting when they brought that up, and I did a quick search, and the NCSG logo is not on their website, but they still have the CSIA logo on it. So
Right.
that was as of yesterday. So
Right.
let's see here. Work on NCSG audit response. Is that just common?
Right.
Stuff.
That's just something routinely we do. We get letters from the auditors requesting confirmation of what we've done and what the issues are. We are also still working on the organization and structure of the new C3 scholarship entity. So the hope would be to form an organization that could be exempt from federal tax. We would have to file an actual application for exemption with the IRS to obtain that. But we're still working out some issues with the activities that the C3 would be involved in to ensure that they would qualify under the C3 umbrella and could pass the IRS scrutiny when we file that application. So we're still working with Francis and the committee on sorting out some of those issues.
Okay.
Tracy?
Oh, go ahead.
Tracy?
Yes.
I'm trying to figure out, CSIA does not qualify. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, that doesn't qualify for...
They're not a qualified tax. Well, I guess what I want to say is
CSIA is tax exempt, right?
our school does not qualify.
Well, CSIA as an entity is tax exempt under Section C3. So NCSG is the trade association, and CSIA is C3 educational.
What Fred is...
If I can jump in, I think what Fred's referring to is, got it, Francis?
Yeah, what Fred was referring to, we had a conference...
Francis?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay. What Fred was referring to is that based on the feedback you had given us, Tracy, that someone got a scholarship and they went to the CSIA certified sweep school, the money that they received would be taxable to them because that school does not meet the federal guidelines of a degree granting program. That's what
that's
needed to them. So the person making the donation, it's still tax exempt, but the person receiving it, if they choose to use it in that way, they have to count that as income.
Right, that's correct from the recipient side, but we also need to consider, for purposes of obtaining the exemption and for the C3 to qualify, it has the potential class of recipients of the scholarship has to be sufficiently broad to serve a public interest versus a private interest, and there is precedent from the IRS on situations where they have said that the interest really is serving more of a private interest. For example, if the scholarships are really, if the money is going to be given to relatives of NCSG members, so the IRS might determine that that class is too small, and really NCSG is looking to do indirectly what it can't do directly. So that's one of the issues that we need to sort through, is exactly, who the intended class of recipients would be and whether it's broad enough to be deemed to pass the scrutiny of serving a public interest.
So if we award a scholarship to someone for CSIA or school, then that would not qualify. That would not be tax exempt to whoever we awarded it to. Is that correct?
Right. Yes.
My problem with that is what do I want to say here? We're accepted by the VA. Would that not have any bearing on that?
That's different from the actual tax status.
Okay. So that's,
Tracy, would it be fair to say that if someone was given $2,000, let's say, as a round number, that their taxable liability would be a quarter of that if that's their tax bracket, so they would have to pay $500 to receive a $2,000 scholarship?
So it wouldn't be tax exempt at all to the recipients unless the scholarships are given by a C3 that passes muster under the IRS test. So we're still in the stages of trying to organize an entity that would qualify. But as Francis had mentioned, in order for the recipients to receive tax exemption, it has to be a program at an academic institution, and there are certain expenses, room and board, that don't qualify.
that's what I wanted to know. I just don't understand how we could be accepted. The VA accepts us, and it's tax exempt, but it's not to anyone else. I don't understand that.
And I'm sorry, what do you mean that the VA accepted?
The VA allows a tax exemption. Ashley, maybe you can explain that better than I can.
Yeah, CSIA works with the VA, so the VA will fund educational opportunities for veterans. I think that's what Fred is trying to say. We are recognized as a vocational training. We may not fit the traditional mold of a college or university, but there are provisions for vocational training.
Okay. And that may be the case, but it's our understanding that the new scholarship fund, that the original intent was for the recipients to be family members of NCSG members or other acquaintances who are nominated essentially by NCSG members, and their applications are reviewed by a committee, and they would be awarded scholarships.
Well, I think we can adjust. We can adjust that. But it was just my understanding that NCSG, or not NCSG, CSIA would not qualify as a tax, as an awarding a tax exempt scholarship, no matter what. We can adjust who we award to, but.
Right.
Do we have to have the C3 organization to do that and to qualify?
You would in order to get you would want that in order to get the tax exemption.
Okay. So if we get the C3, it doesn't matter what the other doesn't matter. We'll be allowed to award a scholarship that will be tax deductible to the recipient.
If the C3 is approved, right, and the IRS approves of the program as we describe it.
The program what?
As we describe it in the application for the new C3. So that's what we're working through now, is really what the purposes of the new C3 will be.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, once they get done working on it, Fred, you're going to have to do a lot of reading and a lot of thinking.
Well, right. a lot of what legwork has to be done.
Hey, you started it, man. Stop your griping. You started this. All righty. That's what you get for being such a big philanthropist. All right. So unless anybody has any more questions on the legal report, we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Looking at the director's reports, short of, I think my favorite one was Bob Ferrari's in the naked biking. Have you gotten any pictures from that, Bob?
Yeah, sure. Lots of pictures, Nick, if I can.
Read the reports if you didn't catch that. We'll leave that to the unknown until everybody has a chance to read the reports. Everybody holding up. Yeah.
I got one quick question. I don't see a site selection report.
Good question, Francis. You got an answer for that one?
If you want us to start giving official site selection reports, I'm more than happy to. We're kind of in limbo a little bit with that, but we have been sending out RFPs, and we'll proceed with that after the first of the year.
So what is site selection now then? Because it used to be, Diane. Where is that now then?
My understanding is that site selection is now a staff function.
So was there a committee before Edmund, or was it more of a selection process that we did through contracted people like Jenny and?
It was a committee. Diane was chair. Jenny was on it. Mark McSweeney was on it.
Fred was on it. I was on it.
Before that, it was I was the chair of it, and Mark, and actually, but all the way back to Roll Edwards. So, if it is a staff function, we still need a report, even if there's nothing to report on every stated meeting. There needs to be some sort of report.
Okay.
So we know.
So my intention on a lot of the convention front is to turn it back over to a staff function as it was originally intended to be. As for that committee, does the board feel that we need a board member on it, random people on it, or is it something we just turn solely over to staff and then we get reports on it? I'll take some input on all that.
Well, I can say I definitely think that we need at minimum, the supplier director on there, because a lot of the issues with a site, don't forget, the biggest thing is not just, the trade show part is the biggest thing. So there's things we run into with different sites from, problems with if it's a union a site, door heights, dock levels, ceiling heights of the trade show floor. There are just multiple different issues that we've run into over the years that we've picked out myself. Russ was on the committee before me, just running things by to make sure it actually works and is conducive to the vendors, getting their stuff in, getting their stuff out, all those different things. There's a lot of issues. Parking is another big one. People getting stuff delivered, whether they're delivering with their own trucks or, different things like that. So there's a lot of things where I think at minimum, the supplier director should be on there, but we've always had at least one other board member for input.
As a supplier director that's been on that site selection, it sounds like it's more of it's in my head experience stuff. Has anybody ever made notes over all this little stuff so we can have a checklist when we're looking at a site, or is it just we got to make sure we have somebody that's experienced in that?
We've never had an SOP on it, which I guess what I could do is maybe make a list of a lot of different things, but it's kind of one of those things where you'll have the basics, but just looking at a site and knowing how, not just your product comes in, but, most of the vendors do, use the same, same processes. A lot of things just pop up where you see, every site's different. So you might say, oh, hey, that doesn't look right because of this. So that's my, one thing that makes a lot of sense. I know what would happen is, like, give you an example, when, say, Diane and Ginny would review a site, they would look for certain things, call me, ask me questions, sometimes while they were there, and then, get some different input and feedback. Sometimes there would be a floor plan Ceiling heights.
I've got a partial SOP on that.
Do we have one, Fred?
Yeah,
There
I've
is
got
a
a
site
partial.
selection SOP. This is Darcy. There's a site selection SOP. It primarily goes into some of the concessions and stuff having to do with the contract and the RFP. Most of the trade show stuff kind of exists in, as far as I know, in Edmund's head or what's been communicated to me or Debbie, et cetera, by people that come in for the trade show, as far as, preference not for union and some of that. We would love to have a list, definitely, from Edmund. Definitely the input for whoever comes on board as flyer director when Edmund sadly leaves us. As far as some very specific things you guys would look for. A lot of those things have been communicated to me verbally, but it would be great to have a written list for the trade show.
That same thing goes for you, Fred, on the audio visual stuff too. If you got any of that requirements or anything in your head or anything, put it down. So the committees, I think after, if I remember correctly, after our next meeting, I have to sit down and go through all the committees and put people on those committees and do some swapping around and changing around. With
Chairman,
that,
I got a comment.
Go. Yep.
This is Jay. I definitely agree. There should be at least one director, or ideally the supplier director, on the committee, and you need to make a chair for that. I would think it'd be Francis.
Right.
It doesn't have to be the current supplier director. It could be a different supplier. So that committee, if whoever gets voted in as supplier director isn't familiar with that process, it could be a learning experience, but you may want to, have somebody else on the committee. It doesn't have to be a director. So anyway, just my input.
Mm-hmm.
And just for everyone's comfort level, while we have the RFPs out there, it was certainly our intent to not make any selection without consulting with Jeremy, and that would be done after this current upcoming convention.
Okay. Any other comments or anything? Because that's my intention on that committee, and then we'll just make sure Francis is part of that committee, that we get a report of some form every board meeting. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Yeah, I definitely think, we remember one thing we had always asked for from Mark was a report on convention planning also. We could never get one. It was kind of just somebody would ask about it, and he'd make a couple comments, but there was no real report of where are we at, what's going on, and, we always asked for it, and we never got it over the last how many years. So, I think there should be, a report included in that, just my opinion, because we've all had questions, and it was just, hey, everything's going good, and that's it. Well, okay, but where are we at?
Yeah, it's only fair. It's only fair. Francis, any problems, questions, comments on that?
No, I can include things. Like I said, we've been in a little bit of limbo, and quite honestly, things that we put out there we can pick apart. But, I'm more than happy to share and let people pick.
There you go. Anything else? I saw a head nod from Edmund. Okay, cool. So now Edmund and Fred have homework. All right, let's see here. Any other comments about anybody's report? Any questions on anybody's report? Okay. Moving on to committee reports. Bylaw report as submitted by Jasper. I did see something in the legal report that we're working on, I think an empty seat change up or anything. Did Tracy or Jasper have any questions to one another or anything about that?
No, we've already prepared amendments to the bylaws to address that. It was an issue with the new staggered terms. There was a provision in the bylaws that hadn't yet been amended about if there are vacancies in any director position, how long a temporary director would serve. and we've also, there are amendments that were previously approved by the board to allow for electronic voting. Those amendments will be voted on by the membership next year at the next meeting.
There you go. If Jasper doesn't have any comments, I'll move on to the Ethics Committee report, which is pretty straightforward. Good thing is there's no ethics complaints filed at this time. That one complaint that Tracy went over is on the CSIA side, not on the NCSG side currently. So, governance report, Jay Walker.
As submitted, not really
Okay.
anything to report.
I know we've got some elections and some changes and everything else. And
Yeah, the only thing I would add would be that all directors, current directors, you know, when your time comes up and you're making a decision to try to find someone to take your place, and always be looking and listening and reporting back to me of any potential new directors that may have it, you know, want to be a director. So.
Yeah, and then we've got just a reminder on the vacant seat. We're going to be I'm going to be appointing Ed Ridgway to that seat. So, and Jay, thanks. You send me a lot of emails over that stuff. I know it's a lot of work. I appreciate you doing that.
Not a problem.
Let's see here. Government Affairs Report. Phil Mitchell. Phil, you actually had some stuff to write down on that. Anything we need to know?
Yeah, actually, I got to own up to that one. That's from the latest update from the HPBA website. Okay, I meant to write that at the bottom, but I didn't. But
So you plagiarized it?
I did.
Attaboy.
That's what I'm trying to say without saying it. Yeah. So it's as it's written. There hasn't been anything new coming through our vendor that sends us some stuff new. So that's it.
Okay. Any questions to Phil? All right, moving forward. International
I got a question. Can you hear me?
I can.
Do we have a date for that floor fight in Georgia?
No, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
The 211?
The 211 thing isn't going to be in. It isn't going to be in Georgia. It's going to be in Boston. And
okay.
the dates on that is March 18th and 19th. And I was going to kind of go over some of this stuff when we get to the Jim Brewer 211 report. If you can hold on just a sec.
10-4.
All righty. International Relations Support report submitted by John Pilger. Let's see here. Anybody see anything magical in that? It looks like he's a nice busybody. They went to Spazzacamini, and yeah, everything looks pretty good there. Any questions on John's report? Okay. Going to the membership report. Yes, membership committee report. Bob Ferrari, you want to give us a lowdown? Looks like you got some big things happening there.
It's all stuff that we talked about last time. Darcy's been working on it. This is her work. So, you know, we're still prospecting members. I feel like to get a few hundred more members, not 20. We'll see how it goes, pulling people into Lancaster this year. Other than that, it's just what's written there is NCSG's new booth's going to be at ASHI, HPBA, and some regional events. So any of us that have regional events, especially, you know, within the driving distance of Indy, need to get a hold of Darcy, and we could have some representation there and try to drum up membership on a regional level through those events, not just national ones.
Okay. And you want to explain the Spark Marketer Chinsight program?
Well, Spark had said that they were going to try to put something together, and it, to where we could provide a website for new sweeps or technically challenged sweeps or ones that are just trying to figure out that side of their marketing program, try to bring them on. But I don't know. I don't understand all of the way that it happens. Probably Kevon or Darcy could explain it better. But eventually, I think it'll be something that they get charged a small fee for.
Yeah, I can talk about the CHIM site thing a little bit.
Until another year, or maybe Darcy could talk about how the database and website have to change before that can happen. I don't really understand that.
I can, yeah. Bob asked me to look into creating what was sort of a website off of our website, but basically a much more robust profile for all of the members. Yeah, I can hear you, Bob. And so I talked to Spark Marketing. We looked at our current system.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Bob? And there's really no way to alter our current database website to incorporate that. I talked to Kevon about as we go into looking to creating maybe our own database or switching to a different system in a few years when we leave a web link, having that built in as an option. Spark Marketing, after I talked to them about that kind of need that we're seeing with chimney sweep companies that are having trouble building their own website, created a different program that will be a new member benefit. Because they'll get a discount on the system. It will not be free, sadly, to members. They do have to charge them something, but it'll be through Spark Marketing. And CHIM Sites is their own, it basically works like WordPress. You'll have different templates for them to fill in, add their logo, add all their information. But creating basic, really clean, good-looking websites off of their system. So they created this program entirely for chimney companies. NCSG members will have their own kind of section of CHIM sites where, in addition to them getting a discount on all the rates, I can also push them information on kind of their dashboard in the back end. We'll get updates about NCSG information and events and what's going on. So that'll be also another tool for us to reach members.
Alrighty, any questions about that? Sounds pretty cool. Everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see here. She's doing that. Can Darcy explain the NCSG website? Did we get that answered, Bob?
Yeah, I don't know. I lost all the audio there till the end of her thing, so.
Okay.
I'm sure she did a good job.
Yeah, she did. It sounded good.
Okay.
Okay, if no other questions on that, we're going to move on to the NFPA 211 and 54. Let's see here. NFPA 211 report submitted by Jim Brewer. Basically, Jim called me last night. So just so everybody knows, the big meeting is in March. It's the 18th and 19th. It's in Boston, and I plan on attending. Anybody else that wants to attend, the more the merrier. Make sure. Well, hopefully everybody got all the responses in. The online thing was very tedious and a huge pain, but I got through it. I don't know if I did it right, but I did my best on the thing, and then everybody on the board needs to make sure to sign our petition, which is very, very simple. Let's see here, what else? The CSIA did finish some of their testing. They're going to be releasing that report from their testing here pretty soon. At least they brought that up at their meeting. So the only thing, when Jim talked to me last night, Tracy, are you still on?
Yes.
Okay, so Jim just got done with I think it was the 54 meeting, and he said it kind of set him off thinking. If we need to look into the NFPA 211 changes possibly being restraint of trade, and he suggested maybe legal speak with the NFPA about this, or maybe write a letter because his feelings are that passing codes that can put companies out of business like ICP, Rich Payton, even Olympia, anybody having a problem, obviously isn't the intent of a code or anything of that nature. I mean, just kind of looking into it generally to see if it's any type of restraint of trade with the new wording and everything. Edmund, you got any comments on that? Jim was kind of thumbing through it. I think he was just kind of rattling around in his head.
I mean, I think it's a good idea to look into it. I mean, I know NFPA's position is always, we don't favor anybody, we just do things for the safety of the homeowner, but, the more I look into it, it just seems like they don't have the, any research to back it up, that there are any issues to, further, further define this. So I think it's definitely something to look at. I know, one person it's going to affect, the most is somebody like Rich Payton, companies that do mostly caps, like High C is another one that does, a lot of things specifically with caps. But all of us, from Olympia to National to Lindemann to all of our supplier members, we all sell caps. It's a portion of our business, some more significant than others, but I think it's definitely something to look at. So if Tracy has any comments on it or has any questions, I'd love to hear them.
And I think that was Jim's biggest thing, was there's not enough research, or they're not providing enough research. So it's almost, in a sense like a witch hunt where they're, attacking possibly something that isn't a problem, or at least enough of a problem to consider it a fire hazard or what have you. So any comment on that, Tracy?
No, but I'll certainly raise the issue with our antitrust attorneys here, and we'll take a look at it internally, and then we can decide if we want to reach out to NFPA. Okay.
And if I told Jim, Jim wasn't even sure who our legal counsel was these days, and I told Jim, I said, it's not, legal counsel is there for the NCSG and CSIA, but this isn't just a standard member asking for legal counsel on his own business. This is all NFPA related. So I told him, we can either have counsel, contact you if they have questions, or if Jim wants to contact you. So if you need Jim Brewer's contact info, if doesn't have it, I can get it for you if you guys have questions, or if you want to kind of, if he might be able to express his comment. He couldn't be here today. He's on a flight coming back, but I'm trying to express what he kind of rattled off to me last night. So, and I was pretty tired myself. So.
Okay.
Okay. NFPA 31 report. No meeting since the last CSIA meeting. So, and they're having a meeting in March or April. Any other comments about the NFPA 211 thing? It looks like we can pretty much move on. I know, Jasper, you had the question about the dates. I think we answered that. Any other questions on that? I'm going to be trying to unmute you. That I'm going to say no questions. Let me make sure we didn't lose anybody.
I know Jasper's driving, and he's in some snow, so.
Yeah, and I think we lost Jasper. So if Jasper.
I can hear you guys.
Oh, can you? Okay.
I'm just keeping it on mute so you don't hear all my road noise.
Yeah, no problem, man. And any other questions or anything on that?
No, that answers everything I had.
And we've gotten real good response from the online petition. I think we had over 500 signatures, as I heard earlier. We did do quite a bit, sending out a lot of mails and everything. I had told Francis I didn't get the snail mail, but I did. I found it on my desk the other day. That's how organized I am right now. But I did my due diligence. Hopefully everybody else did theirs. If you haven't, at least get the petition signed. Trying to think of anything else. We sent multiple emails. We sent snail mail. We sent reminders, constant reminders via email. We got on the list, everything. And then Francis and Darcy, I'm not a huge Facebooker. Did we throw some stuff on Facebook as well?
Absolutely, and in sweeping.
There you go. Yeah, and in sweeping. So I think we hit all the, I mean, short of calling every single person individually, I think we hit every point of contact that we could, especially given the time of year. I think we did pretty darn good on all that. So any other comments, questions? Okay. Technical Advisory Council report, no new activity. Let's see here. Apprenticeship Committee report, no activity. And then Scholarship Committee report. Fred, attack.
Oh, what to say?
It sounds like you already got it all out. You any comments?
Too much going on. Francis is in the middle of this C3 thing, and she's working with Tracy. There's a lot of legwork that's got to be done yet that I didn't know about till things started progressing. Francis and Darcy have been an immense help, as well as Ron. And I still am at a point where I don't understand how we can be accepted by the VA and not by the IRS. That's beyond me. But the way I'm understanding it, if we get to C3, then we don't need to worry about the rest of it. Again, there's just a lot of legwork, a lot of things have to be done, and we're progressing as quickly as we can. And anybody that, well, there's going to have to be some changes made as to who or how we award scholarships and who we're according to legal, we're not generic enough, so we're going to have to work on that and make some changes there. One thing that I need to get taken care of, and we got to get a handle on this renewal thing, because I can see it getting away from us, and we get too much money going out. So we need to probably put a limit on that, I would think. So there's just a lot of things that's got to be done yet, a lot of legwork, and that's about all I can say right now.
Okay, so looks like we went through everything, and then we've Tracy or Jay, help me out here. Okay, so we the next part we go to is to take a motion to accept the consent agenda, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. So I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda, or do I have a motion to? I'm sorry. Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Motion.
Accept what? I didn't hear that.
Do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Motion.
Okay, that's Ed on the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Fred second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you can go ahead with the motion. I already have a motion to accept the consent agenda at the top for the director's reports.
Okay.
Made by Bob, seconded by Ron.
Okay, that was the approval. Bob and Ron were the approval of the August 22nd minutes. Phil and Greg were accepting of the treasurer's report, and now we have the consent agenda. Ed and Fred.
Okay.
And that rhymes. It sounds like Dr. Seuss just did the accepting of the consent agenda. Okay, are you clear on that, Darcy? Then.
Yep.
Okay, cool. All right, any opposed? All right, moving forward, old business. Let's see here. Scholarship Committee and C3 designation updates and members. Francis, I think we kind of already covered all that, did we not? Is there anything else? Francis, you there?
Oh, there we are. Sorry about that.
Okay.
We need
That's okay.
a board of directors for the new entity, and it can just be, 3 people, but they've thrown out some names, but at some point I need some direction as to who those individuals will be.
Okay, so Francis had talked to me the other day. And some names are thrown out there. My thing is I feel that we should throw it out to the actual membership and see if we get any, kind of throw a line out, see if we have anybody volunteer for that, and maybe we'll find a member that has dealt with this type of stuff before, rather than people who are all new at it. And if we don't get anybody who has a passion for it, then we can, address some of the names. A lot of the names that were thrown at me are names that kind of volunteer for everything. I'd like to see some new people get involved in this. And obviously, Fred, if you plan on being the top dog on that, which I guess that's a question to Tracy, because I can't remember. I thought we covered this. Would Fred have to, if Fred wants to chair that, would Fred have to resign from the board to do that, Tracy?
Well, typically, I mean, it's just one factor. We do want to make sure that the new C3 is sufficiently separate from control from NCSG. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you can't have overlapping directors, but it's generally good to have some new people, for the reason you're talking about, just to make sure that they're focused on the purposes of the new entity.
Right.
So it's not a requirement, but it's a good practice, since that will be another factor that the IRS looks at when we ultimately submit the articles of incorporation that identify the directors and identify them in the IRS application.
Okay.
I only have a year left on the board anyway.
Yeah.
So.
But I think it makes sense for Fred to be involved.
Yeah, getting some pretty good background noise for, if someone can mute that.
Jeremy or Francis, I'm here now.
Oh, hey, is that you making all that noise?
No, what? Heard it.
Glad to hear you're not snowed in.
Oh, it's something, but no snow. Grateful.
Well, are you kind of settled in, or you need a minute to settle in?
No, I'm settled in. I've been listening.
Okay. Did you want to take a look at, did you have any comments on anything up to the old business? We're under old business, scholarship committee, and C3 designation.
I'm trying to get to the go-to meeting, but I can't do that, so I'll just bring up the agenda. I have nothing to say about anything yet, so I'm good.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see here. Alrighty. Moving on then, if nobody has any other comments, discount agreement with CSIA. I'm assuming that would be under Francis to kind of go over that, or Megan maybe.
Yeah, I'm just going to put it out there. You're going to back in August, I believe, and in terms of its
Hey guys, someone's playing the drums in the background. Everybody hit mute except for Francis. And then Francis, you're still a little on the quiet side.
Okay. I'm just putting it out there. It was discussed before back in the summer when you had your meeting and CSIA's meeting about the percentage that NCSG reimburses CSIA for the discounts to members. It's been brought up by the CSIA treasurer, Jim Bostaff, again. And so I just want to keep it on your radar, because before you go through your budget cycle next time, it will be brought up. So I'm just making sure that it stays in your mind as a discussion item.
And we had talked about this at the last meeting, and I think we all kind of had some input on it. I think it's going to be a pretty hot topic when it comes to the combo board meeting. And as I understood, I thought we were going to, if I understood right and remember right, we're all going to talk about that at that combo meeting when everybody's in one room, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so bring your pitchforks and your torches, and we'll have a nice discussion with CSIA over all that. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
If I remember right, Jeremy, this was discussion on the percentage that was set quite some time ago, and
Correct.
If I'm not mistaken, that our big things we talked about was set before we started splitting costs and different things and all this other stuff, and different things came into play. Correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be a good discussion because I think it's pretty much going to have to kind of all be redone essentially, but at the same time it's got to be fair for all parties, and it's just like any business negotiation. So, any other?
Are they in the process? This is Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Ron. Are they in the process of doing something with the NFI also and offering them things or offering realtors things?
So I don't know about the realtors deal, but I do know that they are talking with NFI about an actual merger. Is that something that you can discuss, Ashley, or is because I don't want to? This was all brought up at their meeting, so I don't think it's secret knowledge. But Ashley, I need some input on that. I don't know what I can talk about or what I can or.
Yeah, I think that they both entities agree that it's a good idea, but I'm not aware of any specifics as of yet.
I can know that there's been a task force, and Chuck will be of that task force, and they're conducting meetings, and they're going to require a vote of approval to proceed by the NFI board and the HPBA board. And my understanding is that informally, both of those boards are likely to vote that they're okay with NFI moving forward to investigate merging with CSI, and it's really kind of early stages, but the discussions are pretty strong.
All right, so everybody get that? They're talking about it essentially. They're talking about a merger, and they're getting to the point where they're getting the okay to look at it and look at the feasibility and everything. So that'll come into play. Does that answer your question, Ron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir, to some extent. And it seems, and how, I understand that it was kind of just a number picked out of the air. Is there something that Megan might be able to do to give us some guidelines or some way we can start figuring out, what kind of number we should be looking at?
Well, I feel that that's something Megan should be doing, or she's going to have a heck of a couple days when you got 20, 30 people in a room arguing about numbers. So, what do you think, Megan?
I would.
Is Megan on? I know she was having problems earlier.
It looks like she's off.
Okay.
And I think part of the reason that it simply got was passed that by the time you guys went to the meeting in August, your joint meeting.
Hang on a second, everybody. Hang on a sec. Everybody hit mute except for Francis. And Francis, I'm gonna buy you a new speaker for your computer.
Okay. Part of the reason it got tabled last year is that by the time you guys come in here in August and you do your joint meeting and you have your budget meeting, is that the budget submissions are already there. And so everyone kind of agreed that it would be fair to wait because your budgets were already submitted. So this discussion on some level is going to need to happen before you get here in August.
Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see how that could happen.
I agree, and that's the whole
reason.
That's the whole reason I asked if we can start trying to figure out some way to figure out what kind of numbers. I mean, if we get some idea what kind of numbers they're looking at, and see if we can figure out what kind of numbers are realistic.
Ron, this is Megan.
back when you brought...
Thanks.
Hey,
Pardon me?
hey, Ron, I think we found the culprit of the really noisy background. That's you, man. So hit *6.
Did that help?
Yes. Go ahead, Megan.
Okay, back when Ron asked the initial question about the CFIA discount, about what we paid them each month, if you remember, I did go through and pull actual figures of the last 3 years on what CFIA gave NCSG members, the total dollar amount, and it's about a third that we pay them now, and they're looking to get up to about 50%. I don't know that they'll do it all, and they'll ask for it all in 1 year, but that is what CFIA is going for. They're looking to get back to 50%.
And I believe we also give them like 4 or 5 pages in sweeping.
They do pay for it. You pay for it at a very reduced rate.
Yeah, so that's part of it too.
Right, and we also pay expenses on the building, and they get it as an asset.
Yes, for building maintenance and anything capital related to the building, they do claim that, and you per the rental agreement that whoever signed it, the presidents at the time, that was the agreement.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we just need to make sure that all these points are brought out that are in our favor for reasons why this probably shouldn't go over 40%.
Well, I had looked back at any increases that had been over the years to this, and the figure has never increased. My understanding on this discount is CFIA could not financially support themselves alone. This discount was a way to give them money legally, and that's from Judy Thompson. That's coming from her. So somewhere along the lines it got turned into, well, it was 50% and we need to get back to the actual 50%. But according to Judy, no, that was for the case behind agreement.
Okay.
I don't have any more questions at this point. It's just something that's going to have to be worked through, and we'll deal with it as it goes, I suppose.
Committee work.
So what I'm seeing on that is basically what we probably need to do. I mean, obviously it's going to be, we're not asking CSIA for money; they're asking us for money. So once Jim has figured out what they're going to ask for, I would say probably both presidents of both associations, our finance director, Jim Bostaff, theirs, Megan and Francis all need to meet and see if we can hash something reasonable. Then we can present it to our boards. Am I hearing that right? Good plan?
Sounds like a good plan to me.
Okay, so I guess if that needs to happen before that joint meeting, Francis, that's going to be something where you're going to have to give Jim Bostaff a deadline so we can make that happen. Yeah.
I can do that.
Okay. Alrighty. Let's see here. That's everything in old business. Moving on to new business. We've got a bullet point that says ban. I mean, I can basically go over what happened, or Megan, do you want me to go over what's going on with that, or do you want to get the specifics? I can thumb through it, but it's not the end of the world. It's not. It's just a hitch that Megan found in the bookkeeping. Correct?
Correct. Basically, CFA put $13,000 away in a savings account, and Candace moved over a period of 3 months that same equivalent in the rental agreement. So NCSG essentially paid CFIA for an expense that was not incurred, and the auditor said no. They backed it out last year and put it in a due to, due from account,
And so CSI essentially paid NCSG that money back. So the $26,000 set aside for the van is all CSIA's. NCSG has not paid for it. And that was just an error. Candace did it incorrectly, and the auditors backed it out because it didn't coincide with the rental agreement. So when the van is purchased, NCSG will owe CSIA money for that.
Right. So basically, the money didn't ever go anywhere. It's always been there. It just basically got rotated back to us again.
Yes.
So I guess the only question now that we kind of Ron brought up the asset of the building. So we're paying for half, and that's all part of the agreement on the van and the building and utilities and expenses. At the end of the day, does the CSIA own the van?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because deal expenses are in that rental agreement.
Right. Okay, that was just a side question. It has nothing to do with this. So does everybody understand what happened there? Basically, it was a previous financial director faux pas on how she was transferring the money. The auditors caught it, said we don't like it. It all got rotated back to us. Now we need to rotate it back to CSIA again. Any questions on that? Good job, Megan, catching that and all that fun stuff. And she called me a little alertive about it, and we got it figured out, and she did an awesome job on that. So any comments or anything? Edmund, I can see your face. You're either yawning or you're kind of in shock.
No, I'm not. I was just yawning. I just want everybody else to understand. So the money, it's not like the money's there. It just kind of got moved and then moved back. So it's not like it's costing us any money.
No, it isn't. It was earmarked for it. And we're not buying a gold-rimmed van either. We're buying something slightly used. Frances is frugal. She's looking for a reasonable van. She's been looking for a 2012, kind of on eBay and stuff, and finding us a good deal on it. And I think what do you have, like a budget of $28,000-$30,000, something like that, Frances?
No, the budget's 26, but I can't spend all of that because I
26.
I need to pay for shipping and then to have it wrapped and stuff like that. So my budget really is more like 22.
And did we? I can't remember. At one time we had talked. We're getting logos and everything on that van through the when you guys wrap it?
Yeah, we want to have it wrapped, and then I wanted to keep enough of that van budget to wrap the new van and then wrap the old van as well, so at least the old van matches and make it look a little better.
Yeah, and then hopefully we got all that in place, and you guys are planning on driving it to Lancaster, right?
Hoping to.
Yeah, so that'll be real slick. That'd be something fun to have sitting out in the front parking or something. So, okay, any other questions about that? All right, let's see here. Any other new business?
I have something.
Ashley has something.
Too new. Very new. Just this morning, we had a cancellation from a speaker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, George Kerr, who was going to do 2 classes for carbon monoxide, informed us that due to health issues with one of his staff, he was going to be unable to make it. So.
Okay. What do you have? Okay, that's it just this morning, so you're obviously going to need some time to figure that one out.
My inclination is to repeat some of the other classes, and follow up instead of adding in something else new.
Okay. Any input on any of that from anybody? Anybody see somebody that wanted to speak that isn't getting a chance that they'd just love to have at convention?
I still think, this is Bob, I still think there's a need for a carbon monoxide class. NCI certainly has one, and they're out in that area someplace.
Okay. That was just input for Ashley. Okay.
I kind of agree with Bob. I think that's a very important point, and it would actually create a lot less change. All you do is changing the speaker. If we were able to find somebody that would talk, about the same subject. Just a thought.
Yep. No, this is all input. Okay. Any other input? Okay. So before we move on to the next meeting dates and everything, I through a couple of texts and things, I found that we actually have a visitor, and we need to make sure we get those on the minutes. Is Jim Gillum the only visitor we have on this meeting? I'm not sure who can actually see that. Is that you, Francis, that can actually see who? I can't see it. All I can see is, oh, John Pilger's here. Or no, that'd be Diane then. I'm sorry. That's all I can see. I can't see anybody else.
John, it's me.
Sorry, Jim Gillum is showing up on my list as calling in.
Okay, is there anybody else other than Jim? If not, okay, we just need to reflect that Jim was a visitor at the meeting. Diane, did you have a chance to look at everything? You have any other questions or anything? I know you showed up late. I just want to make sure if you have anything to throw out there.
No, I don't. I looked over everything and it all looks fine.
Were you able to help your customer?
Yes, I was. Thank God. The kids are right now warm.
Excellent. Excellent. That's good news. All right, guys. Next meeting, February 17th, 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We're going to pray for good weather and easy travels for everyone.
Hey, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Is people, are they going to state their intentions to run for the board or not? Used to do that at this meeting. I don't know if you wanted to do that or do it via email.
Yeah, no, we can do that. We can do that. Are you talking about just about the chairs? Because I mean, we've got everybody through the governance committee that's put in ballots and everything. Are you just talking about like I plan on running for president again? Jasper plans. Okay, so yeah, we can do that. So I have intentions of running for president again. I don't know if Jasper's still on. If Jasper's still planning on running for vice president. I'm going to assume so. He hasn't said anything. Greg and let's see here. So Greg, is Greg Boss still on?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Okay.
Jasper.
Oh, good. Okay, Jasper's still planning. Greg, are you still planning running for secretary?
Yes.
And then Ron, are you still planning? I'm gonna. If Ron can't answer, I'm gonna say yes on Ron. I don't. Ron's already got game plans for the next year.
Still in.
Yeah. So you're still planning on running for treasurer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there anyone else that's planning on running? Okay. Anything else on that, Diane? Thanks for that.
No.
Okay, cool. Alrighty. Anybody else have anything? If not, we're going to make a motion, or we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
Did we discuss Wonderlink?
What is Wonderlink?
Something we spent about $800 on.
Okay, I'm gonna let you lead the discussion on that because I don't know what a Wonderlink is.
Now, isn't that, well, somebody else needs to. It was the thing that we did for the profiles, our personal profiles.
The head shrink test
that we did with
Hope had us take.
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about, and I honestly don't have any input. That kind of got dumped after our last meeting. I don't heard anything more about it. That was a Hope Stephen thing. Francis, you want to enlighten us on that?
Yeah, we purchased a series of Wonderlic tests for both organizations just to get a volume discount. I believe we discussed this next.
Francis, come back. You just drove off.
That wasn't me.
Okay, hit mute, everybody.
The test results were to be shared directly with the governance chairs of each organization to assist in succession planning in terms of finding out what types of board members you need to try to recruit in the future.
Was that, did that answer? I know what the testing is, but I guess the question was, and I might have missed it. Sorry. But I think they're wondering where we're at on it.
As far as I know, the information has gone to the chair of each governance committee. I do not have access to the information of the test results.
Okay, so is Jay Walker still on? Any input?
I think he.
Are we all nuts?
I can follow up with Hope to make sure she has shared the information.
Yeah, I'm not seeing Jay on here anymore. Ron, go ahead, Bob.
CSIA was going to do something, analyze them, or have Hope analyze them, or something for their board in terms of trying to use it as a tool to find the kind of personality or person that would be a good fit for replacement. And we had the option of doing that. It was, if we wanted to do it, we could. I don't know how to do that. I don't know if any of us do. So if we want to do something with those, we could do the same kind of thing, or hire Hope to do the analysis or give us the graphs or whatever you get out of that stuff. But that was, as I understood it, the purpose of it.
Am I correct? Did we spend $800 on this?
Yes, but that it was earmarked, Fred. The ED has a certain amount, and correct me if I'm wrong, Francis, but the ED has a certain amount of money for, I can't remember what word you used on it, but I mean, there was earmarked money for projects like this, so it isn't that we wasted money.
Could I just interject one
Right,
thing?
but my point would be that I'd like to see us utilize this money. And I talked to Hope at one point, a couple of emails, and she can do a one-day seminar with us to show us how our whole board is put together from this information, and to help give us guidance in the future. And it's about, I think it's somewhere between $500 and $800 more to have her come and speak if we want to have time set aside. But she said it's like a half a day to a day. If we want to do something with it.
Okay.
Thank
Hey, go ahead.
Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm here. Hey, go ahead, Ron. Go ahead and hit mute again, please. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Okay. There's just a little bit of a difference in our boards, because the CSIA board, they appoint their board members, whereas our organization is elected by the membership. So the profile that, they're creating, they can go and search for someone like that. I mean, we can do it away, but it's still the membership that, would be electing person.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a different makeup, the way, the boards are, one's appointed, one's voted in.
But the
Right.
And it's constantly changing on the NCSG side, where they stay longer on the CSIA side.
Right. Okay.
Hello?
Committee though has
Yeah. So
members.
let's hear from Francis, and then let's hear from I think that was Phil. It's either Phil or Bob. I couldn't grasp either one. So Francis, go ahead.
I was just saying that even though they are elected, that slate that is put forward is approved by the governance committee. So it's not just anybody that wants to run gets to run. They have to approve them.
Get closer to your mic.
She said that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
She said that basically the slate has to be approved by the governance committee, so it isn't just any random person. So this is, I mean, it's essentially helping the governance committee. Now on our side, before I talked, we had another person who was either Phil or Bob.
It's Jasper here.
Oh God, way off.
I like the idea of the test and all. Mine never did work on my iPad or computer or anything, so it never got filled out. But it's a good idea and all, but we still have spaces we can't even fill on the board,
Right. So my feeling on the whole test, and correct me if I'm wrong, Francis, on our side, I mean, if everybody wants to see the results and everything, we're entitled to that. But I kind of saw it as it was an opportunity for Francis to gather the profiles, essentially, of the NCSG board, so she knows how to work with the board and their different strengths and weaknesses and all that other craziness that comes along with that test. And my test came up. Retake it too, Jasper. So don't feel too bad. But so was that kind of the intention on it, Francis, or?
No, the intent was really to find out, I mean, yes, strengths and weaknesses of board members that we currently have, so that the governance committee or other board members could use that information to try to actively recruit people to run, to submit a nomination. Okay. Although it might be helpful to know who I'm dealing with, I suppose, on some days. So. Yeah.
So I guess if we can get all that, I mean, if we paid for the information, let's get all the information, and I guess we need to find a way that we can distribute the information and utilize it in some form, shape, or way, so we can, next time we meet, other than convention face to face, we can look at it probably at the planning meeting and look at it and go, okay, this is what we're handed. What can we do with it? Sound good?
Well, I think you're getting, if we want to use it, we need something like that can interpret it. And otherwise, you're just reading a report, and it's like reading somebody's horoscope or something. It's interesting, and that's cool, and then we can just move on, because what do you do with it, or how do you utilize it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I would be for hiring folks if we want to use that, and that would mean then that every time a new board prospect applies, that they would probably take the Wonderlic test and just see how that would shift the chemistry on the board, or what do they bring to the table, or that sort of thing.
Okay. So is this something we should basically go ahead and put it on the agenda on the planning meeting? What do you guys think? That's 2 meetings from now.
I think that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, because I mean we can't really do anything with it now.
That sounds like a good plan, Terry.
That's what we use a planning meeting for.
What, Fred?
And that's what we use the planning meeting for.
That was my feeling on it. So why don't we go ahead and put that on the future agenda for the planning meeting, Francis? And we just got to make sure we gather that information in between those 2 times, and then I guess we can figure out at the planning meeting, once we have that information, if we want to hire Pope or somebody to. I mean, we can almost do a go-to like this to go over that stuff. We didn't have to be at the planning meeting.
That all sounds good to me, Jeremy. If we don't have any other business, I'll be more than happy to make a motion to adjourn.
All right, and unless anybody has anything else, I'm gonna take that motion and look for a second.
Bob, second.
Bob Ferrari, second on that.
I think that was Jasper.
Jasper, second on that. Boy, I cannot. I'm gonna have to listen to Jasper talk more often. All right, Jasper, second on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, guys, have an excellent season. If you need anything, give me a holler. Be careful, and we'll see you in Lancaster.
Yeah, I could use another hand. You got any time?
Time. That's funny, Fred. Actually, Fred, I need to talk to you at some point about a hand. So, no, seriously, give me a holler sometime. I have some questions for you.
Okay.
All right, buddy.
Goodbye.
All right, guys. Bye.
See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.